Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com. And it is an honor for me to introduce you to somebody who many of you may even remember. Geoff Burt was the editor of this newspaper in the position that I have many years ago. And he is doing some incredible things in the world of Hollywood. And he's nice enough to join us today to talk about his career and how things have taken off since he left The Observer, and he's with us now. Geoff, thank you for doing this.
Oh, Kevin, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here to kind of come full circle after all these years.
Truly. Tell us a little bit about the days that you were at The Observer. You worked for Tony Tortoretti,
I did.
who was a legend around here. I never had a chance to meet him, but tell us a little bit about your days working at The Observer.
I started as a sports editor. I graduated at Rutgers University in Newark in 1981, and so a few months later, it was the fall of '81, right after the summer was over. I got wind that they were looking for a sports editor, which is generally the way that it used to be. You would start as a sports editor at the Observer, and then you'd wait your turn, and you'd become the editor in chief, which is what I did. There was an editor named Peter Bridge who was working at the time, and then he moved on to do other things. And then they asked me if I wanted the job, and I took it. And I guess I was there for about 2-3 years, however long it was. So I worked for Tony. Tony was great. I loved working for Tony, and Lisa was great. It's just really wonderful to see her face again. I worked with guy Vinny Carchidi. I remember he was the advertising manager at the time, and Jack Marflack, and let's see who else. Let me see who else I can draw. My memory will allow me here. Mary Ann Blair. So if you see give Mary Ann Blair my love, so I started as a sports editor, and then I guess about a year or so later, I was asked to take the editor job, and I took it.
You bring up two names that two people who I know, Mary Ann. In fact, Lisa was on the phone with her last week, and I bumped into Jack in Food Town. Jack just retired. He's a grandfather now, but he's doing great too. Both of them are doing great. I will certainly pass on your regards when I see them next.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah. What did you do after when you left The Observer? Did you stay in journalism, or is that when you got the acting bug?
Well, yes and no. It's a kind of a complex answer to that question, and I'll make it as simple as I can. I left actually, I went on to be, I was a stringer at a bunch of daily newspapers, including the probably now defunct Elizabeth Daily Journal and the Passaic Herald News and that. And I was a stringer while I was doing work for the Observer. But when in 1985, I met my then-to-be wife, who I'm now married. We've been together 39 years. And I decided I wanted to move to New York and become a anchorman. I wanted to be the next Chuck Scarborough. So that didn't happen. And then I got hooked up with a video production company. I said, "Oh, I'll be a television producer. That's what I'll do." So I did that. Kind of cut my teeth back in 1985, 86, 87. I started into that career. So right before that, I had done some modeling and a little bit of cable television stuff, just a smattering of media stuff, back in those early days. It wasn't really until about 7 years ago, coming up in November, that I got back serious about acting again. But in the meantime, what I had been doing was corporate video, and which I still do. I'm an editor and a narrator for a lot of internal professional development. E-learning is the industry that it's called. Right. So I've been a video editor now for about 20 years, and I got actually, to a little personal note, I got sober almost 21 years ago. Next month will be 21 years.
Congratulations!
Thank you. It has really changed my life and set me on the path to finding out kind of who I really was. And I do like to narrate, and video editing can be fun. It can also be like any job. It can be kind of laborious, a little boring here and there. But I'm a freelancer, and that's what I've been for many, many years. But so I worked for a lot of big companies as a producer. I worked for BMW up there in the Parkway for almost 20 years as a freelancer. Wow. Working for that organization. And then, of course, when you're a freelancer, everything kind of has a life cycle. You don't wait around for the gold watch, is my saying. You're probably not going to get it. So I stayed in freelance, and I'm kind of glad that I did, because it being a freelancer for me just gives me better energy, better focus to do that kind of work. But as I said, I graduated from Rutgers University in 1981, as I said, and in 1980 I won Best Supporting Actor for playing Renfield in Dracula at Rutgers University in Newark.
Wow.
So the acting bug was like a tick. It got in there. It never left. And then about 7 years ago, a friend of mine at a AA meeting one day, who was wanting to be an actor, he said, "Hey, I'm going to be going down to the theater for the New City today. They have a free workshop. Why don't you bring bring a play or bring a script or anything? You can just come up on stage and perform it, and it's free, and nobody's going to." And that's when the bug really bit me. I met a friend of mine, my friend. My God, what's his name now? I'm blanking on his name. He's a good friend of mine. Anyway, he basically came up to me and said, "You got to do this, man. You know." And he was a pretty experienced actor. He said, "You got to do this." And so I took that energy and just stuck with it, and did a lot of. I did a couple of plays there at the theater for the New City, and Nick Harden is his name, by the way. Shout out to Nick. He's good. He's sort of been my mentor. He's since moved out to Chicago, but he came to me that one Saturday afternoon, basically took me by the shirt collar and said, "You got to do this." And I was like, "Okay, I think you're right." And the bug had bit me. And so I just started doing things like taking pictures of myself so that I could build a little profile on some of the acting websites like backstage.com and Actors Access. They don't have a real robust profile there, but casting networks. And then I started getting into, I'd say about 4 years ago, doing background and extra work. And that's a good way to kind of cut your teeth as well. I wouldn't say that that's a good thing for an actor to pursue if they really want to be an actor, but that's another discussion for another day, I guess. So it was about 3 years ago. I finally I got my first lead role in a college indie, where I played sort of a Bill Curtis guy from the investigation discovery guy.
Right.
You know, the guy who did this.
Yes, the great voice.
1953. Lee Harvey Oswald. I did that for sort of a send up of that kind of programming. And it was horrible. It was terrible. It was just it's even out there on Amazon on Prime Video somewhere. It's just like I think we have 13 viewers after 3 years. So
oh boy. Okay.
yeah, it was. But and I memorized all the lines. I worked on that like it was going to be a Shakespearean play, and so no experience goes wasted. No commitment goes wasted. And while it wasn't a great film, and I was kind of disappointed with the result, it was a piece of work, a solid piece of work that I could start to build off of, and that's what I did. So I got involved with a couple of other student films, and I got a little wiser about who to kind of hook up with in terms of when I would read a casting call on Backstage. I could start to read between the lines as to who the serious people were, even in the college realm, because there's some really great schools for film. I mean, we all know about Columbia University, NYU,
Sure.
But two of the best films that I've done are with Brooklyn College. So if you're a young actor out there and you're seeing this and you want to get into acting, don't poo-poo those student films, especially from those schools. I happen to also one of the best films I ever did was up in Boston 2 years ago. I played an Irish Catholic father, an alcoholic dad who rejects his son for being gay.
Wow.
And we shot that for 3 weeks on a soundstage at Emerson College, which is another one. You young actors, keep your eyes peeled for things in those schools. And Pratt, and then some of the New Jersey schools are starting to getting better. I believe Montclair State, I see occasional casting notices. So anyway, the advice would be is if you're a young actor and you want to break in, that's the best way to do it. And I mean, there's always extra and background work out there, but it's kind of hit or miss, and it's not really what you want to do as an actor anyway. Sure. So that's kind of how I got started with acting again.
Now, you have done some things on the large screen, but I yesterday had a chance to sit down and watch a little of the History Channel, and I saw Colonel Sanders being played by you in what I thought was an absolutely brilliant production.
Thank you.
Really, I had never heard of the show before. My mom has, and she actually saw the episode that you're in. So, could you tell us a little bit about that show, how you got involved, and how that all broke so beautifully?
Oh, thanks. I'd be glad to. It's one of the best. It's one of the best. I'm 66 years old, and so I'm 66 years young, and it's one of the best experiences I've had so far as an actor since I started. Back when I was 59 or whatever.
Sure.
And so I saw an ad for in Backstage.com. Another thing for you prospective actors out there: pay attention to Backstage.com, and if you're serious, sign up, get your pictures together, start working, memorize monologues. I saw an ad for this particular show, and they didn't advertise as the History Channel. They were looking for somebody to play Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, and so I do Southern accents very well, and I was able to. So I set up my camera, as you can see my camera back there.
Right.
We do a lot of self-tape auditions now with COVID. That's mostly what happens. You don't really go to see
Wow.
directors very often anymore. But
Okay.
so I sent in my audition. There was a script side. I read it. I take myself being Ray Kroc, and it was as if somebody at the casting agency said, "Hold the phone. We got somebody who can do a Southern accent, and he's got white hair." And that guy might be the guy. So they asked me they said, well, this is actually for Colonel Sanders, and we'd like you to do it again. So I shot another audition, and that's how I won the role. And it was shot way back 8 months ago in November in Newark, in Down Neck, Newark.
Really?
Oh yeah, this is an amazing story. Another thing that I think people don't realize is everybody thinks everything happens in New York. It's all over the place. In New Jersey, there are in Newark, in the Down Neck Ironbound area. It's kind of a shabby place, but they do a lot of work there because the History Channel has a lot of shows. Let's see, the trends that built America, the icons that built America, the this that built America, the that built America. But the granddaddy of them all appears to be the food that built America.
Right.
So we shot it back in November. I got to work with 4 really great actors. I had to memorize some lines, and I had to go out there a week in advance just to be suited up for the iconic white suit and the navy blue suit.
Right.
And while I wasn't paid a whole heck of a lot of money for it, I will tell you this: I'm so grateful for the exposure that it's going to give me, because it really was a good way to really show off some acting chops, and to be able to, to do the it was a prime opportunity, and I'm just really. That scene that you're looking at right there, where I'm dipping the chicken in the gravy, that took 8 takes
8.
of
Wow.
me being disgusted at the new flavor.
Oh,
of the
yeah.
chicken.
He was not very pleased at that moment.
No, he wasn't. But yes, it was. It was a hard working day. I was there for 12 hours. I had to get there at about 7 in the morning. The makeup, the mustache and the goatee that you see,
Right.
that took about 2.5 hours. They had to
Wow.
bring in a special union effects makeup person to do that. So I knew I was in something good. When you bring in some serious people to play, it was like, you know what? I'm glad I got my lines down. I'm glad I'm here. I'm a little nervous, but it's what I was really hot. And when I saw it, when it premiered on the 14th, I said, yeah, that's how I was hoping it would turn out. And it was a great show. And I try to tell people, I said, it's really a really good episode of a show. And
It is.
forget about me, push that to the side for a second. It was just a good episode full of file footage, old Colonel footage. There was a younger man who played the younger version of Colonel Sanders, who I thought was really, really good. So it's all in all, it's been one of the best experiences of my acting life, and I've been having a few of those this past year. I've been in a couple of commercials. So one that I don't know if it's still running on MSNBC and CNN, but I play a nervous financial advisor, and I got cast for that, and it's for a thing called Masterworks. So Masterworks is a investment platform where if you have a spare $25,000 to $100,000 sitting around and you want to invest in a piece of a Picasso, you can do that, and they'll make it profitable for you. So I got to play the nervous financial advisor for that. So that was a blast. But I played this past May 20th. I was in the film that won the best picture at the Big Apple Film Festival. It's called The Greatest. and I was honored to be cast to play. There are three lead actors. I play one of those lead actors as a much older man at the end of the film, and
Right.
so I'm the key supporting character, and in the story, I play an old gay man trying to find his lover from the 1960s. So it's a beautiful period piece with a beautiful score. If you've ever seen Brokeback Mountain, it's got a beautiful score.
Right.
This has that kind of quality. It had that kind of quality in its behind the scenes people. So I said, you know what? Although I don't identify as gay, it said, if you're going to bill yourself as a character actor in this world, you better be willing to play anything that comes your way.
Right.
And I said, I'm going to embrace that. And I've got a lot of, I've got gay people in my family and my friends, and so I thought, I can probably pull that off and play that authentically, and we won Best Picture at that film festival, and that's a very proud moment. Hopefully, after it tours around festivals and whatnot, that
Sure.
perhaps it'll hit streaming somewhere in the coming years. So that's basically my story in a nutshell of my acting.
I don't want to harp too much on the Colonel, but for a role like that, you mentioned you have to use a Southern accent and things of that nature. Did you study him or his mannerisms, anything like that? Or how does something like that work when you're playing
Yeah.
somebody who isn't so well known in the world?
Well, I knew this was a big opportunity, so I better study up and look into his life. I didn't know about the gunfight that is shown at the beginning. I didn't know he was involved in a gunfight
No.
with a competitor. I didn't know that. I learned plenty of other things about him. Watched a lot of file footage. Tried to kind of make that kind of same voice kind of thing happen that he did. So I studied his mannerisms and the quality of the pitch of his voice a little bit, and I can do a Southern accent. I've done it plenty of times before. So he was an easy one to study because there was so much. If you
Yeah.
just YouTube Colonel Sanders, and my God, there are about 1,000. He's almost like there are as many Colonel Sanders impersonators as there are Elvis impersonators in the world.
Yeah.
I have a feeling. It took. I studied a lot of YouTube, looked into his life, and the episode itself, which was what was so great about the episode itself, surprised me with some of the things that I learned I didn't know about him. So all in all, I think we had a really good episode there, and it's probably gonna be rebroadcast. I think you can see it on YouTube if you pay $3. If you have the History Channel, it's now streaming. Some cable systems have it, some cable systems don't. So I'm not exactly an expert on that, but
That's how I found it. I have the History Channel is part of my package, and if you log on using your password for your provider, you can watch it in full without commercials. By the way, so you actually I got to sit down 43 minutes straight watching this, and I was fascinated by it. It really is remarkable what you did, and how much you did sound like him. And that's a true testament to you. If you're just joining us, Geoff Burt is here with us. Geoff, tell us a little bit about what may be on the horizon, or if it's too soon, shut us up. But what's on the horizon for you?
Well, what's on the horizon is there's a movie that I joined a couple of years ago, made by a group of black women filmmakers who are also. It's a faith-based project, so they're very Christian, but they have an interesting story. It's called Tried by Fire. It's about a black-owned church on Long Island, and the two men who come to try to swindle them out of their property. And so I play a really, really bad guy and a racist and I play a really bad New Yorker who's trying to screw somebody out of their property. That's Tried by Fire, and I have a feeling that going to that premiere, I'm going to need to wear a baseball cap because I'm not a very good character. But that's what the character called for, and I loved being with the cast, and they loved me, and we all knew that we were very serious about our performances. So it's called Tried by Fire. I don't know what the release point is going to be on that. If it's going to be on streaming, if it's going to be shown in churches or in. I don't know. They have big plans for it, but it's like a lot of movies. It can take 2, 3, 4, 5 years for a film to come together. It really can, especially in the indie world from what I'm gleaning. So that. What else is in the future? I'm just trying to build myself as a character actor, someone who and my niche. The way I try to market myself with people is I try to present myself as my niche is to play emotionally broken men with hints of redemption, and that has worked 3 times for me. And And then when I'm doing commercials, I play a silly, nervous financial advisor. Go figure. So part of the answer to that question is I don't know what the future is going to bring, because acting is there's just so much media. I could get off I could not work for the next 2 months, and then suddenly something's going to come through, and who knows. But I'm really happy. And as I keep saying to my friends, I said, listen, if it all ended tomorrow and I was no longer going to be an actor, if I'm lucky enough to live to be a very elderly old guy, I can look back and say, you know what, I did what it is I set out to do, and I'm very proud of the body of work that I have. So, in that alone, I don't know where it all goes from here, but I don't really. I care, but I don't care. I feel like it's the intention and and I don't think I could have been as good an actor now as what I meant to say was I couldn't have been a good actor when I really wanted to do it when I was in my 30s and 40s.
Right.
There's just no way. I had to live some life, make some mistakes, have some kids. That's not a mistake, by the way. But I be at the deathbeds of my parents and learn, really live life. And I think that's the most important experience any actor can draw from is their own life experience. So I think the big man upstairs basically said, yeah, you can be an actor, but it's going to be a while, Geoff. So
be patient, son. Yeah. You'd be surprised how many times we have people watching us all over the place. So who knows? Maybe there's an opportunity. Somebody's watching right now. They don't know you, but they'd like to maybe cast you somehow. How do they get in touch with Geoff Burt? Tell us.
That's interesting, because I was actually shortlisted about 4 years ago for a big feature film in Bollywood. And Bollywood, They make more movies than we do by the tons, exponential. Bollywood is, if you know anything about Indian cinema, they make more movies than anybody in the world.
Yeah.
And I got an email out of the blue from a casting director saying, we'd like to see you read this part for this part and do it in a British accent. That's another one of the ones that I do. And I sent it, and they said, we want to see you do it again. And then they shortlisted me for the film, and then COVID came, and that kiboshed everything, so I didn't get to be in a big film in India. But sometimes it comes out of the answer to the question. Sometimes these opportunities just come out of the blue. I would say a good half dozen half dozen times per year. I would think there will be people who will contact me from backstage. You have this look that we'd like you to read for this. It'll just come out of the blue. Other times it'll be me just kind of hustling, looking at the casting notices and posts and whatnot, and looking for something that I think fits the niche that I think that works best for me. So it's a blend of things. I have an agent in New Jersey, but I haven't. I think I've been auditioning for this agent for about a year, and nothing has come of it. Nothing. And I usually see the casting notices before the agency does, so I put in for it. So I'm kind of a street hustler, in a way. And that's no mark against. I don't want to mention the agency who they are, because they're very good, and they're very excellent. They're very nice people, and they're committed to their craft. And they've taken me on, and they've given me lots of auditions. And unfortunately, none of them have panned out into anything, not yet. But that's sometimes what it takes. Another thing for you young actors out there, if you're watching, I don't care if you're young or you're old, it's going to take time. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take some days when you want to watch a rerun or binge on Netflix, find a script side and start memorizing it. And that's the thing. And I too binge. I binge on Netflix too. But I'm also I try to keep my eye on things that the things that I think an actor needs to do to stay in the game, which is, people say it's a long road to superstardom, and I don't care about superstardom. I care about the road.
Wow.
And that I can travel down it as long as I can.
Tremendous philosophy. I wish everybody could live like that. That is wonderful. Geoff, this was an honor of a lifetime for me. I'm sitting in the chair you once sat in, and I really cannot thank you enough for doing this. And I know Lisa would say the same thing. She just raved about you, about the years that she spent with you. And I hope we can do this again too after the next time your one of your great things turn to fruition. Thank you, Geoff.
So, well, thank you for having me, Kevin, and best to everybody at the Observer and to all the viewers of the paper. I miss you all, and I hope once again we'll get to talk in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're ever in Down Neck, Newark, before you go there, stop over here. We're only a couple of minutes away. Make sure you pop in, okay?
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.